I was looking at this little model that I have of the Enterprise, and I realized something. This ship looks good from every angle, and it really shouldn't. Should it? This ship is a pretty counterintuitive mishmash of shapes. Cylinders, domes. Actually, there is a pretty coherent visual language to this ship, but it's still a weird design. I think we can all agree on that. No ship looks like this, except for other Star Trek ships. And somehow, after 50 years, the USS Enterprise still stands as this magnificent icon and still strikes a bold profile. It's an incredibly effective design, and there might be a million reasons why. It has a tall, powerful, almost lifelike posture, holding itself up like a classical sculpture of Atlas or the discus thrower. Its sharp angles evoke power, while its gentle curves evoke a sense of futuristic, fluid aeronautics. But this is all really conceptual, theoretical stuff, and it doesn't really explain why the ship looks good from any viewing angle. And I thought about it for a little bit, and something struck me. I do a lot of art and photography and filmmaking, and a common rule that governs a lot of composition is the rule of thirds. If you break down a frame into 9 equal rectangles and you position points of interest on those lines and intersections, you tend to get favorable compositions. Most cameras even have these grid lines built in. And when I thought about the Enterprise in terms of thirds, I realized that this shape is perfect for shooting in thirds. From the front, well, we can set the registry on the top third and the nacelles on the left and the right thirds, and the secondary hull on the bottom third. And now we've filled the entire frame with Enterprise in an almost necessarily attractive way. From the side, those alignments still work well. And this doesn't just work for orthographic views of the ship. Let's get a classic 3/4 view from below. Beautiful. From behind? Great. It's almost like this ship was specifically designed to be photographed.
Interesting.
Now, things aren't perfect, but they're really close, and definitely close enough to trigger those subconscious aesthetic preferences that appear to inform concepts like the rule of thirds. Now, I was curious if other people had noticed this sort of thing, and I immediately came across an article by Gary Meisner on goldennumber.net, which applied the golden ratio to the Enterprise to some pretty interesting results. Now, the golden ratio is an irrational number near 1.618, and it's represented by the Greek letter phi. It has a lot of applications, but it's commonly regarded as having special aesthetic properties, similar to the rule of thirds when it's expressed as a grid. Now, it's not without controversy or discussion though. It depends on how far you're willing to take the concept, but applying a phi grid to the orthos of the Enterprise gets some interesting results. I was particularly interested in the details on the saucer. When you line up a phi grid top to bottom on the Enterprise, the top edge of the saucer, the slope of the saucer, and the two-tiered structure of the bridge blister are pretty close to golden ratio proportions. And if you take the width of the secondary hull and iterate the golden ratio outwards, that is dividing its width by 1.618 and placing a line at that distance, the nacelles are set pretty close to that line, and the width of the nacelles are fairly close to 2 more iterations of the golden ratio. Again, none of this stuff is exactly perfect, but the Enterprise still comes really close to adhering to major design principles that govern proportions and compositional balance. And this might be a key factor in the timelessness of the design and why it so effortlessly looks as good as it does and from as many angles as it does. But those are just a few random thoughts. Do you have your own ideas? I'd love to hear them. And if the design doesn't work for you, I'd like to hear why. If you like videos like this, make sure to subscribe for more, and if you want to support the channel, there's no better way to do that than through my Patreon, so give that a look if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.